He bombarded Tamaria, a whirlwind of desperate pleas disguised as nonchalant inquiries. Not desperate, one text screamed. The lie, a bitter taste on his tongue. Just say so if you're done, another one hissed. The words, a choked sob trapped in digital form, each failed attempt to reach her clawed at his gut. A raw physical ache. The voicemail, a recording of his unraveling, played in his mind on a loop. His voice, usually smooth and controlled, was a ragged, desperate plea. The accusations hung in the air. Rude, he'd call her. A venomous dart thrown at a ghost. A ghost who was in reality trapped behind bars. Her silence, a chilling echo of his own fears. He pictured her, defiant spirit crushed beneath the weight of concrete and steel, and a cold wave of guilt washed over him. This charade, this sham marriage, built on a foundation of convenience and burgeoning, terrifying feelings, was collapsing. The meticulously crafted facade, the carefully chosen words now felt like cheap, flimsy props in a play about to end in a tragedy. The sweetness of their stolen moments together, a stolen kiss, a whispered secret, was now tainted, sour by the bitter realization that their agreement had become something far more complicated, far more dangerous. He was drowning, and Tamaria, his supposed accomplice, was nowhere to be found, except in the chilling silence of his phone and the echoing emptiness of his heart. A fetid atmosphere, heavy with the stench of stale ale and despair, clung to the room as Kofi spat out his bitter defiance. Do you think I'm an idiot? A goddamn moron? Tamaria, perched on the bare couch, met his furious gaze with a chilling calm. Her eyes, usually sparkling with mischief, were now glacier pools, reflecting a truth she believed unshakable. What conceivable motive could I have for fabricating a false account of my disappearance centered around a prison cell confession? Unanswered, the query lingered, a galling residue on her palate. He'd already felt the burn of her absence, the phantom ache of her touch. God only knew what twisted scenarios played out in Kofi's mind during her weekend incarceration. The images burned into his memory, the empty spaces where she should have been, the silence that screamed louder than any confession. Then, the sickening certainty. The fluorescent glare of the convenience store light seemed to mock him as he reached for the usual cold, wet bottle of beer. The acrid sting of cigarettes. That's when he saw it, the glossy paper of the Jailbirds magazine, a lurid headline screaming beneath the grainy photograph. His blood ran cold, the familiar face, the defiant set of jaws. It was Tamaria, her mugshot. A stark, brutal indictment stared back at him. The cheap paper felt like sandpaper against his trembling fingers, the smell of the ink suddenly nauseating. A rage, raw and visceral, clenched his gut. The truth, brutally exposed, was 1,000 times more terrifying than any lie. They began to talk, a desperate attempt to bridge the chasm between their precarious lives. Tamaria, awaiting her court date, felt the cold dread of potential imprisonment and the crippling debt gnawed at her. The lawyer, the fees, insurmountable mountains looming before her. His anxiety smeared hers, the threat of the visa denial hanging over him like a guillotine, the weight of academic failure pressing down. His aspirations, a frail veil thinly disguising profound doubt, resonated with the desolate uncertainty she harbored. She saw it, the desperation in his eyes, a reflection of her own, a desperate plan formed in her mind, a lifeline in a churning sea of their shared despair. The wedding, a sham, a transaction disguised as love, a way to secure the financial support she desperately needed. But the ideal felt like a betrayal, a violation of some inner code she couldn't quite articulate. This isn't love, a voice whispered in her heart. This is survival. Yet the alternative, jail, poverty, utter ruins, was a terrifying prospect. She asked him about the wedding arrangements, the words tasting like ash in her mouth. The question between them, heavy and suffocating. He seemed shocked. His initial reaction, a flicker of genuine affection, before a mask of polite surprise settled over his face. His protestations, "It's you I want," sounded hollow even to her ears, a lie draped in the flimsy fabric of convenience. He wanted something, she knew. She just wasn't sure what it was, or if it was even her. She felt a surge of guilt, a nauseating wave that threatened to drown her. Their lifestyles, their habits, a reckless entanglement of alcohol and bad decisions were not the foundation for a righteous life. Change was desperately needed. But how could they change when the very ground beneath their feet was crumbling? The pressure of their immediate crises, the court date, the visa, was suffocating. His words, "I want to really build a life with you," were a siren song luring her towards a shipwreck. A life with him, she thought bitterly, is a life of more bad decisions, more alcohol, more regret. The guilt twisted a knife inside her. She wanted to believe him, to believe in a future where they could overcome their difficulties, but the weight of her impending court date was crushing. The alcohol, initially a temporary escape, felt like a noose tightening around her neck. The toast to more drunken nights felt not like a celebration, but like a surrender, a conscious choice to numb herself to the bitter taste of her impending failures. The failure of love, a failure of responsibility, a failure of herself. His friends, a whirlwind of laughter, sharp and cutting wit. They accepted her, her beauty, a shimmering currency in their guided world. A world she craved, a world where she felt seen. But the Yoruba and the pidgin language, a wall of misinterpreted words, kept her at arm's length. Their joy, vibrant and infectious, masked something darker. A night spilled with tequila and boisterous laughter. Someone slumped against the wall, shouted, "I did kill you." A voice roared, raw and unchecked. The brutal impact of those words ripped away the facade of the joyous recklessness. A chilling undercurrent of violence pulsed beneath the surface of this group's charm. Tamaria grasped her heart, constricting as the cruel jest played out before her eyes. Their actions, though outwardly lacking overt aggression, held a chilling undercurrent. Each seemingly inconspicuous quip concealed a venomous truth. If physical violence was absence, what other insidious methods did they employ? Were they priors of spiritual annihilation, wielding dark sorcery and subtle arts of manipulation with chilling expertise? A chilling revelation surfaced in Tamaria's memory, a confession from Kofi, unlike any she'd ever encountered. He'd recounted his teenage years in Nigeria, a desperate scramble for wealth and a better existence fueled by dark rituals. The image seared itself into her mind, the brutal sacrifice of a bird, its blood spilling into the soul, a horrifying incubation she struggled to fully comprehend. Voodoo sprang to mind, conjuring images from the films like Eve's Bayou, Tales from the Hood, and A Color Purple. Ceely's defiance words resonated: "Until you do right by me, everything you touch will crumble," a potent echo of Kofi's reckless pursuits. Her own mother held peculiar beliefs, yet her superstitions paled in comparison to Kofi's.